Welcome everybody to the 2023 Festus Fantasy Football Midseason Awards. I am your host today, and look, I even got my suit jacket on for this special occasion. We have some pretty good awards to go through tonight. Let's get that started off, shall we? Let's get the night started. Starting off here, we have the award for the best team overall through the first 7 weeks of the season. And no surprise, this is going to go to the Little Giants. And this is because the Little Giants has been the most times in first place. Pretty straightforward there. Congratulations to the Little Giants for that. The next award, on the contrary, is the worst team overall award. And this award goes to none other than Chubb Checker. Chubb Checker being the recipient of the most times in last place. That is why he wins this award. So congratulations. The next award is going to be the best trade overall award through the first 7 weeks of the season. Now there's a couple ways that I could have measured this award, and the way I went about it was averaging out the position rankings of each player involved in the trade and then getting a score for each side. I also try to take in somewhat of a team outlook and also how the team has done since making the trade in terms of wins. Obviously, it's hard to base a trade off of wins in 1 or 2 weeks, so that's why I went with position average, and you'll see what I mean here in a second. I think it actually makes it a little more fair. But starting off here, for the nominees, we have Breece Hall for Amari Cooper. This was a trade a couple weeks ago, and it was currently position average 19 for Breece Hall and a 44 for Amari Cooper. 19 being the 19th best running back, Amari Cooper being the 44th best wide receiver. So that means that the Guardians get a plus 25 in terms of position average advantage, if that makes any sense. So that's kind of how it's going to go. Obviously, this is a nominee for an award, but this will help make sense for the other nominees as well. The next nominee, which is Ja'Marr Chase and Jakobi Meyers for Saquon Barkley, Rachaad White, and Puka Nacua. This was a trade between Team Armani and the newly named Cincinnati Bengals, in which Tony traded a position average of 10, Chris traded a position average of 17. This gave the Cincinnati Bengals a position average advantage of plus 7. Does that make sense? Meaning Tony gave up what appears to be more for less value. Moving on here, we have Christian McCaffrey, Rondale Moore, and Cam Akers traded away for Rachaad White, DeAndre Swift, and Puka Nacua. This was a trade between Bigger Than Black and White and Team Armani. Bigger Than Black and White in this trading away a position average of 30, and that's without even factoring in Cam Akers. I left him out because he's so terrible. So I really only did CMC and Moore for this, for a position average of 11 with White, Swift, and Puka, being a plus 19 advantage there for Bigger Than Black and White. And finally, we have Cooper Kupp and Jakobi Meyers traded away for Tony Pollard, Kyren Williams, Curtis Samuel, and Aaron Jones. This was a trade pretty recent between I don't even know what I'm doing anymore team and the Cincinnati Bengals team. Both of these managers did benefit greatly off of this trade, both 2-0 since making this trade in terms of the position average. Dom gave away an average of 23, while the Cincinnati Bengals gave away an average of 31, which gives Chris a plus 8 advantage there. The winner is, for the best trade for a team through 7 weeks, I'm going to be giving it to Bigger Than Black and White and its trade with Team Armani. The plus 19 position average advantage is very, very impressive for someone who actually ends up trading away the number 1 ranked player in the league for running backs. So the fact that you can trade away someone of that caliber and still walk away with a position advantage, very, very good trade. Also factoring in outlook for this team, I think it saved the season. Now on the flip side of the best trade, we have the worst trade by a team this season, and honestly this was a tough one to kind of figure out, but I will say we do have a couple nominees for this award, and let's start right here with Keenan Allen for DeAndre Swift and Terry McLaurin. Now the reason that I put this trade here as a nominee is because had Mez not made this trade, he would actually have had an extra win in his current season total. He would have won week 4, funny enough, against Team Armani, who we traded with, by 0.2 points. He would have won week 4 by 0.2 points had he not made the trade for Keenan Allen. Everything else checks out. He'd still be in the same position that he is now. I just wanted to put that as a metric for this award. The next nominee is Brian Robinson and Jake Ferguson for Joe Mixon and Tyler Higbee. And truthfully, this was just a terrible trade all around. One of the most forgetful trades I'll probably see all season, as I don't think any of these players have contributed greatly for either team. I know Joe Mixon's already been traded again. But that is the only 2 nominees that I had for this award, and that means the winner is Brian Robinson and Jake Ferguson for Joe Mixon and Tyler Higbee. Mid-season award for the worst trade of the year so far. Not a big position difference, 15 to 21, but my main metric for this was the fact that it's just not a good trade for either side, and both managers, although Chris traded Joe Mixon away, pretty much lost. It did nothing for the team. No one would have won or lost based on these players being on the team or not. And yeah, that's my metric for it. Talking about trades, we want to go over the Chris trade chain. Since the beginning of this year, he has made 6 trades, including the one today, as you may have saw on the channel. And I wanted to highlight everything that he has done leading up to this point, because I think it is actually pretty funny. The first trade was turning Jerry Jeudy and AJ Brown into Cooper Kupp. He also got Mike Williams in that deal, but unfortunately he went down with injury. The second trade that he made was turning Saquon Barkley, Rachaad White, and Puka into Jamar and Jakobi Meyers. We saw that trade in one of the best trade nominees, actually. We then see for this third trade turning Brian Robinson into Joe Mixon. We saw that in one of the worst trades. He is actually the winner of that. The fourth trade he did was turning Cooper Kupp and Jakobi Meyers into Tony Pollard, Kyren Williams, Curtis Samuel, and Aaron Jones. This would then lead to his fifth trade, turning Kyren Williams into Chris Olave. Kyren actually ends up getting hurt right after he makes his trade, so pretty good timing there for Chris. And then finally, as I just said, he turned Aaron Jones and Joe Mixon into Keenan Allen. With everything being said, with his 6 main trades that he's done, he has turned Saquon Barkley, AJ Brown, Rachaad White, and Brian Robinson into Tony Pollard, Chris Olave, Jamar Chase, and Keenan Allen. Whenever you average out these current position rankings, he traded away 16 and has received 12 in return, a 4-point position ranking advantage. I'm sure I'll be adding trades to the Chris trade chain when the season's over. Stay tuned for that. Let's move on to the most injured team award. For this, I went with just who has dealt with the most injuries to key and significant players currently still on the team if possible. I tried to make it to where they're not trading away people, or they traded away people that ended up getting hurt, or they traded people that were currently hurt. I wanted to see teams that were fighting through injuries. And the nominees are, first up, we have the GOAT Squad. Dealing with injuries to Travis Kelce, Javonte Williams, Kyren Williams, who he just got, Jalen Waddle, and Brandon Ayuk. He's had to battle a lot of injuries, currently 3-4 on the year. Who knows what his record would be if these players did not get injured in the ways that they did. Next up, we have the Little Giants nominated for this award, dealing with injuries to Jahmyr Gibbs, Christian Watson, Jonathan Taylor, and now just recently Justin Fields. Tough blows there. Obviously drafting Jonathan Taylor, sitting him, obviously drafting Christian Watson and sitting him, waiting for them to get healthier, and now Watson's hurt again, unfortunately, so we'll have to see what happens there. And for the final nomination, we have Chubb Checker, obviously losing Nick Chubb early on. He was his first round pick. That's his best player, and truthfully his season has gone downhill ever since. Along with Nick Chubb, Devon Achane and Deebo Samuel both being plagued with injuries this year. That is unfortunate. The winner of the most injured team through the first 7 weeks of the season, I'm giving this award to the GOAT Squad. No surprise here, I don't think. Dealing with 5 very key injuries that has probably costed this team maybe 1 or 2 wins. So congratulations to the GOAT Squad. You get not only the most injured team award, but I think you get a little bit of an excuse. Next up, we have the biggest steal in the draft award. Now, a stipulation for this award: only players drafted that are still on the team. With that being said, I want to give some honorable mentions for this award. First up, I want to give an honorable mention to Kyren Williams being drafted 149th by Dom, the last round of the draft. I think the 5th to last pick in the draft. I could be mistaken there, but an absolute amazing draft pick. Never dropped him, stashed him on his bench, and turned out to be, well, traded for Cooper Kupp. I think getting that value in the last round is a very good pick, but unfortunately no longer on the team. Next, we have Jay Gill drafting Raheem Mostert, 132nd overall, currently the running back 2 on the year. He was unfortunately just traded for Derrick Henry. However, this was a great draft pick by Jay Gill himself. So those are the 2 honorable mentions. Obviously, there's a lot more, but I wanted to highlight these 2 as they were the best honorable mentions. With that being said, let's get into the official nominees for the biggest steal in the draft award. Starting off here, we have the Little Giants drafting Tyreek Hill 4th overall. I get what you guys are going to say. Jax, how can you give a nominee to the Little Giants for the 4th overall pick? But that's because Tyreek Hill currently has the highest points per game average of any player in the league, meaning that he should have been technically drafted 1st or even 2nd overall. The next nominee, we have again the Little Giants drafting Nico Collins, 124th overall, currently the wide receiver 16 on the year. An absolute great pickup by the Little Giants in the later rounds, getting that wide receiver 2 who for a lot of teams like Chubb Checker would be the wide receiver 1 of their team. So great pick there by the Little Giants. The next nominee I have, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore, aka Dom, drafting Alvin Kamara, 53rd overall, currently the running back 16, and even though he's a running back 16, he has, I think, over 20 points per game averaging right now, sitting out the first few weeks of the season due to suspension and still being this highly ranked is very impressive, and that is a great steal in the mid rounds of the draft. So great job. And for the final nomination, we have the Guardians of Your Mom's House drafting Evan Ingram, 83rd overall, currently the tight end 6, the best tight end drafted from this range of draft picks. That is the only reason I put this nomination here. Obviously, a lot of other great picks in the draft that we are seeing. A lot of players unfortunately not making it due to the stipulation of it still being on the same team. So those are the nominations, and the winner for the biggest steal in the draft is the Little Giants drafting Nico Collins, 124th overall, who is currently the wide receiver 16. I think getting a wide receiver, I think 1 technically, or a high end wide receiver 2 in the, was that 10th round? Very good stuff there. Impressive draft skills by the Little Giants. Moving on here to the worst pick in the draft award. This, just like the biggest steal of the draft, only players that are still on the teams qualify for this award. So nobody traded, nobody dropped. And I also did not want to put people that were injured for the rest of the season, like Nick Chubb, for instance. These are people that have been decently healthy within reason and just have not lived up to their ADP. Starting off here with, hey, the guy that got 2 nominations for the biggest steal, well, coming out here starting the nominations, the Little Giants drafting Jahmyr Gibbs, 28th overall, currently the RB25, and this is inflated because of a great week he had this previous week. Before that, I believe he was the RB38 or something insanely terrible, not the running back position you want at the 28th draft pick. Moving on, we have Chubb Checker drafting Deebo Samuel, 31st overall, currently the wide receiver 42. Deebo Samuel has been an absolute bust, a letdown, and that is a big part in why Chubb Checkers had so many struggles. He was supposed to be the wide receiver 1 for this team, and he has turned out to be a wide receiver dud for this team. Moving on here, we have the Cincinnati Bengals drafting Najee Harris, 32nd overall, currently the RB36. Just like Deebo Samuel, Najee Harris has been a massive bust this year. And maybe that's due to Matt Canada. I know everybody wants to say that. Or maybe that's because Najee's just overrated and Jalen Warren's better. I don't know. Moving on here, we have Lamar's Backpack drafting DeAndre Hopkins, 60th overall, currently the wide receiver 47. Just like every other wide receiver that goes to Tennessee, he is currently dying on the hill. And for the final nomination, I have Aaron Rodgers' Achilles team drafting Miles Sanders, 64th overall, currently RB41. Miles Sanders has been an absolute train wreck, and I don't think he's good at all. I think honestly Chuba Hubbard's better. So with everything being said, all the nominations listed, I have the winner of the worst pick in the draft going to Chubb Checker drafting Deebo Samuel, 31st overall. Listen, all these picks were pretty fucking terrible, but I think Chubb Checker wins this one, considering this is the only player besides Najee who had a position ranking higher than the draft position they were drafted, which is not good. That's not what you want. So congratulations to Chubb Checker. I guess you suck at drafting. And for the final nomination award, I guess to say, we have the best waiver wire ad. We have 4 nominees for this award. And starting off here, we have Sam Laporta, picked up in free agency by Team Doyle. Currently the tight end 4 on the year, an absolute monster pickup by Team Doyle, getting his tight end locked in and secured for the rest of the season. Struggled to get good tight ends in fantasy football. Besides the top 2 or 3, everyone else is pretty mid-tier. It's kind of like a quarterback. But to get the tight end 4, who was previously the tight end 2 on the year for a couple weeks in free agency, very good. Next up, we have Adam Thielen being picked up by the Guardians of Your Mom's House. Currently is the wide receiver 7. Now this guy was drafted by Aaron Rodgers' Achilles in the later rounds, picked up by the Guardians in week 3, and has been a staple to this team ever since. A great waiver wire pickup by the Guardians. For the next nomination, I have Chubb Checker adding Devon Achane from free agency. Devon Achane was, I think, a top 5 running back. Obviously inflated because of the 50-point game he put up. An absolute stud. And might have helped win this team some games had he not gotten injured. Drafted by Team Doyle, later dropped. Chubb Checker picked up an absolute stud in Devon Achane. And finally, we have Puka Nacua being added by the Cincinnati Bengals. Went undrafted, and unfortunately he only got to use Puka for a couple games, but he did turn Puka into Jamar Chase. So that's a very big win for Chris. I think that adds value in the waiver wire ad itself. With everything being said, I think honestly, much like some of these awards tonight, this is a tough one to give. I think I'm gonna have to give the very slight edge to the Guardians of Your Mom's House, picking up Adam Thielen, currently the wide receiver 7. I think this is a damn near tie between Team Doyle and the Guardians. I honestly, I mean, if you want to give them a tie for these teams, then do it. I'm totally fine with that. Now, look, we can revisit this. It might be Sam Laporta at the end of the year. Who knows? It might stick to Adam Thielen. It might switch to Devon Achane. We don't know yet. We're going to be obviously monitoring this award. I love this award because it shows people staying aggressive on the waiver wire. With all those awards out of the way, let's get to the highest scoring game of the year so far through 7 weeks. We have Team Doyle winning this award. In week 5, he scored 162.92 points, basically 163 points. An absolute monster game. I am hoping this gets shattered. Nevertheless, Team Doyle winning the mid-season award for the highest games thus far. Finally, the final award of the night, we have the lowest scoring game of the first 7 weeks, going to Chubb Checker in week 7, this previous week, scoring 63.04 points. I truthfully thought he would not have scored 50, looking at his team on Sunday. Starting Monday night even, I think he had 40 points going into Monday Night Football, maybe 45. The fact that he scored 63 is beyond me. Hey everybody, that is going to do it. I hope you all enjoyed the mid-season awards video. Obviously, I'm going to be doing an end of the season award for the league. I hope I gave you guys some senses of pride or maybe some excuses, like for the GOAT squad being the most injured team, who knows. With everything being said, I hope you guys enjoyed. Congrats to all of the award winners, good and bad. And with that being said, be sure to look out for the week 8 forum coming out tomorrow. Hope you guys enjoyed, and good luck to everybody in week 8.